Hey everybody, look who's here on my channel. It's Brother Stunty. Chris, what do you prefer? Stunty, Chris?
Stunty,
There it is. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm expecting the delivery of my latest CD today, so I'm kind of pumped up about that.
Nice. Is it yeah, it's
Window.
a new release, huh?
Yeah, just short EP on CDR. It's called Window. Yeah. I'm going to
Nice.
try to do a vinyl later this year. What's going on with you today?
Well, you might find it funny, but I've been watching some of the Winter Olympics.
Okay. Hmm.
We all have our own
Well, yeah.
idiosyncrasies.
Right, right. Have I used to watch the Olympics with my parents. What keeps you involved?
Well, I guess when and I'm sure we can connect this to music in a way.
Sure.
When when you live in a country that is not your birthing place and not where you grew up, I guess that enhances, or it could be the other way around, enhances your connection with your own culture.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I
And
can see.
watching French athletes has probably more emotional impact to me when I live abroad than when I live in France.
Okay. So that leads to a very good question. Why don't you live in France anymore?
Well, when I left France, I was writing for magazines. I was starting to work with a band called Cassius, um, a house band. The two guys from that band, they had a massive studio where they recorded Beck, Beastie Boys,
Hmm.
Cat Power, and so it was a big opportunity. But then I had a pet project band with a Swedish guy, and it caught on. And
Hmm.
suddenly, every weekend, we were booked around the world, like
Wow.
2 or 3 times a week. So
Hmm.
one of us, oh, we decided that one of us had to move, and the other guy had a kid.
Hmm.
So that's how it happened.
Yeah, no doubt. I probably still have a Cassius CD single in my collection somewhere.
All
And
right.
when I listened to your tracks, what was your involvement with the creating of those beats? What were you playing? I mean, I really like that minimal, and it sounds like the sounds were really well sculpted. What was your role?
So the music I was doing back then was techno, like
Okay.
proper techno,
Hmm.
mostly done through with hardware. So I guess that the music is nice for what it is, but it's not like the most revolutionary one.
Right.
But
Right.
the reason why we had some success, I believe, is because we had a sound. We
Hmm.
managed to craft a sound.
Hmm.
And one of the ways we did that is that we basically bought dozens of mixers.
Hmm.
And as the main instrument, the master clock for whatever we were doing was the 909 drum machine from
Yeah.
Roland,
Yeah.
which was actually modified to MIDI because the 909 isn't MIDI.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
so when you mod it, which can be tricky,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
you basically allow it to be the master clock on all your other instruments.
Yeah.
Roland has rebuilt the 909 and the 808.
Hmm.
But what they did, which most people seem to be happy with, I couldn't have used the new machine to do what we were doing
Hmm.
because the old 909 has 8 outs.
Hmm.
The 909 has 11 sounds.
Hmm.
So we basically could choose 8 sounds that we were playing live,
Hmm.
assigning to 8 different channels,
Hmm. Hmm.
each channels through bus and aux using different effects.
Yeah.
So we could really craft the sound.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like one was programming it live, the
Hmm.
other one was arranging it live and effectsing mixing it live.
Nice.
And but before that, we also went through using basically we had a kick drum or bass drum, depending on how you look at it,
Hmm.
uh, that was very distinctive. Like whenever I hear someone who's basically copied our bass drum, oh,
Hmm.
I can hear, oh, this is our bass drum because it
Hmm.
became sort of I mean, it's very nerdy to say so, obviously, but
So
but
I
so,
understand. Yeah.
yeah, so we basically just went run the bass drum through different mixers and different mixers and different mixers just to see how it would be impacted aesthetically
Hmm.
uh, until we found both a sound that we liked, that we cloned, that we digitalized so that we could use when we needed
Yeah.
so, or also to have a blueprint of what we want when we're doing it live.
Sounded great. Really, really nice sounds.
Cheers.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, Before we move into other stuff, I'm still kind of curious. So why did you stop making that music, or did you just kind of lose interest over time?
No, we had a falling out, a personal falling out, and
It's always the
basically, I think
case.
yeah, I wanted to move a little forward with what we were doing,
Hmm.
and my partner was afraid that our success was mostly grounded in our sound, and that
Okay.
so he didn't want to fuck with the formula,
Got you. Got you. Got you.
and it didn't go well for him alone because he's still doing it, but
Okay.
like yeah, it's become stale, I
Okay.
think.
And are you done with making music?
No, no.
Okay. So what's the latest? What's the latest with you?
Uh, I don't know. In French, there's a word called jachère, which is basically when you're working the land and growing things. Sometimes you have to let the land rest for a
Okay.
season, for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been of that mind when it comes to music.
Hmm.
When I feel I need to get inspired, or when I feel I'm being inspired, I let it, I let the warm water tank fill
Hmm. I like
because
that.
I know that when I open it, it will just be a
Oh yeah.
constant, endless flow until I decided that's enough for this cycle. I'm a
Mhm.
cycle person,
Okay. Cool. That's a nice way to describe it. Very cool.
which is what we were talking about the other day, talking about music.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, indeed. On that, I noticed you had a interaction with one of the commenters where I just thought the person wasn't even interesting, and I would not have even engaged them myself.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, geez, sound like self-importance, but anyway, you were saying that you would maybe want to talk about Michael Portal a little more.
Yeah,
Is that how
Michel
you say his
Portal,
name? Is
yeah.
it Michel or Michael?
Michel.
Okay. Did you
Yeah,
meet him by chance? Did you by chance meet him or anything?
actually, he's one of the few of the French jazz legends that I could have met that I missed my window.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I think I started to think he was going to be eternal because I still had a plan eventually to talk with him.
Wow.
Uh, I knew his son, who actually is a music producer who's been doing house music
Okay.
and electronic music. I've met most of the people he's played regularly in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Awesome. Geez, I could ask you about that for hours, honestly. But wow.
Well, the thing is that I think it was after my Friday stream or on last Saturday, a French friend of mine, messaged me that Michel Portal had passed away, 96 years old. So I just basically responded to him. He had a good run. That was
Hmm.
my first uh, impulsion, and to the best of my knowledge, he was still performing, recording,
Hmm.
and uh, he was in decent health, from what I knew. I don't know. I'm not that interested in the in and outs of what happened, like
Sure.
how he died. I don't know if it
Hmm.
was,
Hmm.
uh, um, but then on last Monday, I saw you mentioning his passing, and I think that's when it hit me a little harder because
Mhm.
um, I think he's one of the giants of jazz in general.
Mhm. I'll take that.
And one other thing that I thought a little bit during this week, partly because of that comment, that infamous or a comment on the video we did together about um, identity,
Mhm.
black racial identity.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's true, though, I must acknowledge that since I was quite young, um, I felt more of a kinship with um, a sort of jazz that I described back then as angular, more
Angular.
straight,
Mhm. Okay.
less groovy. For example, I'm not. I mean, I jazz is my favorite type of music to go see live.
Okay.
It's maybe my favorite type of music as well, but like that makes no sense. Huh? It, you know.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, when I was younger, I really like uh, John Zorn,
Mhm.
and I basically kind of identify in a way that was a bit, teenager provocation. I like music that is white. I said back then in
Mhm.
jazz,
Okay.
more white, more angular, more quirky. I never really, and to this day, I still don't like too much Mingus, for example. I'm
Interesting.
not too much of a Coltrane fan. I mean, my big thing is Eric Dolphy. Eric Dolphy
Okay.
was
Mhm.
my getaway into
Mhm.
jazz.
Okay. Okay.
But I sense something a little angular as well in Eric Dolphy's playing, and
Sure.
he played a lot in Europe as well. So
Yes.
Michel
Yes. Absolutely.
Portal,
Yeah. I would agree. I would
mm.
agree.
And
Down
you,
to
what? How did you come about hearing uh, about Portal, knowing that like you love jazz, and you said it yourself that jazz is maybe your roots
it's
in
in my DNA. It is
mm.
absolutely. So, what was the question?
How did Michel Portal
Oh,
land
okay.
on the table?
Okay. It was in high school. Um, to backtrack right quick, the Beatles on Ed Sullivan opened the world to me. And after that, I was interested in music from all around the world. So in high school, I gravitated to other kids who were nerdy like that, really big into music.
Hmm?
My senior year of high school, I had to switch high schools. And I met these two brothers, the Reeses, who were raised in the military. And so they'd lived all over the world, and particularly in France. Their mom was French.
Hmm?
So when we started hanging out and partying and listening to music, it was a revelation because again they had just moved back from Europe, so that's when I got introduced to stuff like Guru Guru and Ashra Temple, Popol Vuh, and Jerome, the older brother, was more into jazz, and so he turned me on to Michel Porto. Um,
Michel. Michel.
Michel's. um, I wish I had kept the record because it's really rare. They gave me a Michel Portal album where, as a kid, I didn't recognize it was the
I brought a
saxophone.
few with me, so we'll
Okay,
see.
and so if you see it, if I see it, I'll let you know. But when I first heard that record, I was more attracted to the guitar on the record than the sax, and I think that's
Hmm.
why I got rid of it. But that was my first introduction to him as a musician.
All right. We could find a 1 degree of separation between the Beatles and Michel Portal,
Is that right?
and it's someone we talked about.
Okay. Stockhausen. Okay.
Portal plays on this 7 LP box set.
He's on there, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. I've never even seen that box
Obviously,
set.
for those who don't know, Stockhausen is on the cover of Magical Mystery Tour.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's one of the 30 people that on the collage.
That's wild. I don't think I ever knew that. That's pretty cool. That's
That was probably McCartney who was like really, he was the one interested in progress, I guess,
yes,
in that.
yes, I
I'm a,
understand.
there's very little McCartney stuff that I love, but the stuff I love from him, I adore. I think
Yeah.
when he hits it,
Hmm.
he is someone very important in music history.
I would agree. I would agree. Could you show a couple more of the records you
Yeah,
pulled?
yeah, yeah, sure. So I didn't sort them like so. This is the one you showed on your stream,
And that's an
which
original on Futura.
yeah, on Futura. Futura is the guy who ran Futura, Gérard Terronès. He passed away like less than 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Basically, he had a club, and he was booking artists in the late 60s, early 70s, and till his death, actually.
Hmm.
Uh, and he would basically just usually book a studio session the next day or the day before when he had international artists so that they would
Wow.
record an album for him.
Nice, nice.
And the catalog of Futura has something like 35 records plus six plus basically there's a series that is out there music connected to
Hmm.
jazz but not necessarily,
Hmm.
and there's a couple of more like New Orleans type of stuff. But
Okay.
other than that, it's either modern jazz or free jazz, free improv. And this is, to my, this is the best hit rate in any label I know in jazz in terms of this is a classic.
Okay,
And this
cool.
one is not even top 20 for me in this. But
Okay.
the when you see the lineup, Bar Phillips, which is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the top three bass players in
Yes,
jazz
he is.
history.
Yeah, he is.
John Sermon, before he gets really, really experimental in the late 70s
Hmm.
and with the Ogun label
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
But here he plays baritone, alto, and clarinet, bass clarinet,
Hmm.
Portal. Huh?
Yeah. Hmm.
um, you got Stu Martin on drums,
Right.
uh, Jean-Pierre Drouet on perc,
Hmm.
great French percussionist, um, and it's only compositions by them.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a really good record.
I think it's
Uh,
good. I think it's a good one.
I think his very first one under his name is let me see. Yeah, that it's the one. Uh, if that's the one you had,
No, not that one.
oh,
No.
yeah, that would have been a bit surprising, but you never know. Like you
Yeah.
got Joachim Kuhn on piano, saxophone, alto, Chennai, antelope horn, steel
Hmm.
drum, bells, tambourine. Portal himself is playing tenor, um, piccolo, clarinet, bass clarinet, taragot, zoukra, steel drum, Jean-François Kenny Clark on
Hmm.
bass, Aldo Romano
Yes.
on drums.
Hmm.
I'm I'm currently revisiting Aldo Romano, who I never gave a fair chance, and Jacques Tolo, who's one of the greatest drummers ever. I also think this came out
Absolutely.
on the Pate Marconi label,
Nice. Nice. Yes. Hmm. Yeah.
and
So that's
This is really free.
super
But there's a
collectible.
track called "Dear Old Morocco,"
Hmm.
and it goes there.
I see what I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is cool.
One cool thing he's done as well. This came out in '69. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, Before that, he was part of one of the most important records in jazz history, in my opinion, that most Americans ignore.
Free jazz by
No, it doesn't say on the cover by whom, but the record is
yes.
called Free Jazz. It's François Tusquets.
Okay, once again, I love this because these are records I have never seen that. Never seen it.
So you got François Janot on saxophone and flute, Michel Portal on bass clarinet, Charles Saudret on perc. Charles Saudret used to play, he was the drummer with Martial Solal for a while.
Hmm.
Beb Guérin Bernard Guérin, but Beb Guérin on double bass, and Tusk on the piano. This
Mm-hmm.
came out in 66,
Wow.
was recorded in 65, called Free
Wow.
Jazz in that early.
Yeah.
As you can see, that copy is in marvelous uh, condition.
No doubt.
The funny thing is that I found it in the late 90s in a okay shape in Paris
Mm-hmm.
for something like probably what would be right now $80.
Okay.
And I paid that. It was a lot for me back then, but it was still like it's an extremely rare record even in France.
Yeah.
And one day I was traveling in the bus in Paris with a bag of records under my arm,
Mm-hmm.
2005, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the lowest of vinyl culture.
Mm-hmm.
And a woman stops me and asks me, "Oh, are you into records?" Yeah. Well, I have a few. And she was a 60-year-old Danish artist who arrived in Paris in 66.
Mm-hmm.
The first weekend she was in Paris, she got invited to a party, the release party of that record.
Oh, wow.
She never
Wow.
played it because she didn't have a turntable,
Mm-hmm.
but she was beautiful. So all the guys
Shoo.
signed it to her because they all wanted her.
Oh, that is awesome. What serendipity. That
Yeah,
wow. I love stories like this because again, it's like almost like meant to happen, huh?
yeah.
Very cool. So
And
regarding, did Michel Portal have a group? I think that's the record I had was a Michel Portal group.
so not really. The closest to that he had, I guess, would be uh, let's see, the Michel Portal unit.
Yeah, I didn't have it. I didn't have that, but Michel Portal unit sounds interesting. Maybe I had
So
a different pressing of it, perhaps.
no, this one only has one, and
Okay.
but it's Bernard Vité plays on this, who also played on these, who was my biggest friend from the jazz world, like one of the old timers.
Mm-hmm.
And this was recorded in Chateau Vallon, which was a place and a festival. It was sort of a free community,
Mm-hmm.
like French 1968 free jazz hippies.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one recorded there, Chateau Vallon 76, which is the same people and some more. Um, let's see.
Fascinating collection, Stunties. Fascinating collection you have there.
Well, thank you. Here's an interesting one that came out a little later, but this is earlier recordings. This is basically more traditional jazz, and it's like most of the jazz heroes, like Portal, Eddie Louis, Bernard Vité, uh, um, Gilbert Robert, uh, Beb Guérin, play on this. And this is sort of like the French jazz scene in the late 50s.
Okay.
No, in the early 60s, early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more a document. It's good music, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not as wild as the stuff we talked about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so maybe the one you had was this one.
I'll be damned. I haven't seen it yet. The one that I had, no.
So this one, Splendid is Allemand, is really wild. You got Juke Minor, who's a French guy who is dear to me. Uh, yeah, no, only Howard Johnson on tuba and baritone is American here. Otherwise, it's only French music. Oh no, Bar Phillips is there as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, this is a good one, but what's interesting is that when you go deeper into Michel Portal, then you discover uh, this
That looks
and
familiar. That looks
and the
familiar.
R74. This is extremely rare. This is a jazz festival in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
organized by a radio in I don't remember exactly where, but so every year they had one volume and live performance recorded professionally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here you have three tracks. One which is a composition by Keith Jarrett with a band around him with Jan Garbarek, Palle Danielson, and John Christensen.
Nice.
Uh, Pretty good.
Hmm.
Then you have a Mike Gibbs
Hmm.
with Gary Burden, Steve Swallow, and Ted Zibbs. But you have a whole side of the same track, Splendid Disarmament, as that album I showed you.
Hmm.
The album is like 9 minutes long. On this, it's like 20, and
Wow.
it's the definitive version of that track.
Very cool. Very cool. So when's the last time you listened to Mr. Portal?
Yesterday.
There you go. There you go.
uh, the one that I think is the easiest to get into Portal for people like us would be
Hmm.
this one.
And again, I've never seen that one.
This one is pretty cheap,
Hmm.
weirdly and thankfully.
Hmm.
It's from 79, and it's very different from his other jazz music. Basically, Portal had uh, three careers or four careers.
Hmm.
He played classical music. He was a great um, soloist for Brahms and Beethoven
Okay.
since the 50s. Then he played in avant-garde modern classical. I'll show
Hmm.
some as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
I mean, I showed the Stockhausen one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then he was doing jazz.
Hmm.
And his jazz practice was he was always and only playing live, improv.
Okay. Wow.
But this record is the one record he did in the studio where he plays everything, which means he uses overdubs. And there's a track on it where he plays the bass clarinet,
Hmm.
and it sounds like he's playing a didgeridoo because
Wow.
he's screaming in it and
Hmm.
looking for every piece of reverberation he can find in it.
Wow.
And it's looped because
Mm.
he uses I don't know if there were already loop pedals back then. I'm sure there were. Yeah,
Hmm.
I never
Hmm.
thought about it.
Hmm.
But yeah, this is extraordinary. Every time I find it, I buy it and I give it to someone because
Makes sense.
it's still cheap enough. It's something you can find for 15 or less.
In
So
France or over in Europe, right?
over in Europe, yeah.
Yeah.
And but if you'd find I mean, you never know. You could find it in the US. It's
Yeah. I mean, I have every now and then I've been surprised, but yeah, it'd be a surprise. Can I ask a quick aside? So,
absolutely.
Souffle Continu
Yeah.
Records, what can you tell me about that label? And is there a direct connection to Futura?
So Souffle Continu is a shop that started around, I would say 2009, 2010, if I remember correctly. I was still there in France back then.
Hmm.
It was started by two gentlemen, Bernard and Theo. Theo used to play in a French band called Carmine, like indie pop.
Yeah, they made it
Beautiful.
to America. They made it to America.
No, no,
Not that Carmen?
no,
Okay.
no, no,
Okay.
no. They had three CDs and two 7 inches, totally independent.
Okay.
Uh, like they're not known, but they become sort of cult because I would say in a way they would be the French equivalent of Pram to a certain extent, which is
Okay.
one of my favorite pop bands ever. But Theo was a jazz drummer as well, and
Hmm.
um, he helped um, run a label that Jean-François Pauvros, the guitar improv guy, was running, if I remember correctly. And Bernard was in a noise rock band called the Weird Moves,
Hmm.
who I saw open for Godflesh in '93.
Hmm.
And Bernard was working at a second-hand record store in Paris, right by Jussieu, which is a big university in the center of Paris.
Hmm.
And there was a famous second-hand shop there, only CDs.
Hmm.
And every journalist was selling their promos there. So that
Yeah.
was a great store. Like you
Okay.
would go there as much as you could. I
Hmm.
got all my Nurse with Wound, Coil, Soviet France CDs there back in
Okay.
the 90s.
Okay.
And when I started to go there, Bernard was already working there. And then Theo joined a few years later, and that's how they met.
Hmm.
Um, and of course CDs, as you know, at one point.
Hmm.
So that shop stopped, and they decided to open their own store,
Cool.
which would be vinyl and CDs, not secondhand in the beginning.
Hmm.
And so they were only promoting uh, independent music, jazz, noise, electronic,
Hmm.
uh, indie, whatever.
Hmm.
And they have a very nice space, like quite unusual for Paris. Very high ceiling, very calm.
Hmm.
And at the turn of the 2000s, as most record shops, they struggled a little bit
Hmm.
because most records are still quite limited and it's more difficult to get the records. Like if you imagine all the time you have to spend just making a shop run, I know more about what's coming out than they do because they spend more time running a shop than looking for
Gotcha.
what's being
Yeah.
released.
Yeah.
So at one point they were facing, from what I heard, financial problems.
Hmm.
The shop was not self-sufficient. But since they had created a long-standing proximity with Gérard Théronès, who was the guy behind Futura.
Okay.
Futura, he had reissued some of the catalog on CD, but never anything on vinyl. He always refused.
Hmm.
But because he liked them and they were like genuine music lovers, and they often have music showcase for book launches or record launches, and a lot of musicians that Gérard Théronès had been connected with or
Hmm.
worked with.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he decided basically he helped them out by giving them access to the catalog, giving them
Wow.
exclusivity to reissue the catalog.
Well, I'm sure glad that he did.
Yeah,
Anytime I see something on that label, if I have the money, I buy it.
yeah,
I have to make a real quick pit stop. I'm not going to edit. I'll be right back.
yeah,
People are still watching, so you can keep talking.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, what was it I wanted to show here? Oh yeah, the other major label that Souffle Continu managed to build their own uh, identity in the global market of record reissues was Palm. Palm Records, which is another French jazz, free jazz, spiritual jazz label that was running almost in parallel, and uh, yeah, kind of a similar output in terms of quality and quantity, and run by an artist, unlike Futura, run by Jeff Gilson. And this is a Jeff Gilson album where Portal plays. It's one of his very first recordings. This is from 64, I believe. 63. Yeah. Um, I mean, actually, these tracks are recorded between 58 and 63. So Jeff Gilson, who ran the Palm label, which is also one of the biggest purveyors of titles to reissue by Souffle Continu. And yeah, this has Jean-Luc Ponty, Jean-Louis Chotan, Michel Portal, yeah, well, Bernard Vitet, Henry Texier, uh, the all stars of French free jazz, spiritual jazz. And Jeff Gilson is also someone we could talk for hours about. But
Well, the thing I'd like to share, Stunty, is from all my years listening to music from around the world, I've always been surprised that so few French jazz musicians have broken through in America. Like Jean-Luc Ponty seems to be one of the few, Stéphane Grappelli, but I've heard nothing but quality, real music
there's a
from the French.
there's a logical reason for that. Um, all Almost all the great French jazz of the 60s, 70s was on independent labels.
Okay,
Mm.
okay, so you couldn't get it.
Yeah, like the Portal record, Our Meanings, Our Feelings on Pate Marconi.
Hmm.
Uh, yes, it was on a big label, but it wasn't a big release. They probably did like 1,000 of that back
Mm.
then, maybe
Yeah.
more. I'm not sure, but like in Paris, it's extremely elusive, and that's where the record was built. But as you, yeah, it's true that I think that there's such a great and massive catalog and canon of American jazz
Hmm.
that there's already that much to investigate. Plus, the Japanese culture and appropriation of
Hmm.
jazz culture.
Hmm.
Like if you look at any book about jazz in the 80s up until the
Hmm.
late 90s,
Hmm.
uh, 90% of what they cover is American.
Yeah. Well, they missed out. So
Jazz
another,
started in France in the 30s.
that's wild. That's wild. So I want to take you
Hmm?
completely. Do you know this
Oh.
band?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's. So Indochine is a kind of the French. Uh, they're kind of between Cure, but far from having the same talent, and the
Right.
Pet Shop Boys in a way,
Hmm.
and
Mm.
far from having that talent as well.
Hmm.
So it's kind of mindless new wave pop songs, and
Really enjoyed it. That's why
it's
that's why I
fine.
keep it. Yeah, that's why I keep it. It's like again, you never see this. And then when I put it on the other day after not listening to it for probably 10 years or so, it's like, well, this is really fun. I'm really
It's
enjoying it.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what it should be. The fact is that they still exist,
Is that
and
right?
they have a massive fan base in France
Wow.
that is kind of like cultish. Uh, yeah, it's kind of a joke in a way, Indochine, but a joke that still managed to be successful.
How about that? Yeah. How about that? Yeah.
But
Interesting backstories.
as you were starting your previous sentence with around the world,
Hmm.
here's another interesting record with Portal.
Yes. Now I don't have that on vinyl, but I know that record. Yes.
So Maurizio Kagel, Argentinian composer who moved in his 30s in Germany.
Hmm.
This is called Exotica, which is a sort of follow-up to his album Acoustica.
Hmm.
And as you can see here, like the instrument, here are some other instruments,
Yeah.
and Portal is here.
Yes. Cool. Neat. That's a neat picture.
Here is even wilder.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you have Vinko Globokar, Siegfried Palm, and three other guys that I don't know much of, and Portal. And they all play, I think they play 100 instruments, all coming from a non-Western world. So it's a composition for non-Western world uh, instruments by a Western composer
Mm,
with avant-garde, free jazz, modern classical soloists who don't necessarily know how to play. They're not masters of these instruments, but they
right.
masters musicians. So
Yes, yes.
and Vinko Globokar had a band called the New
I
Phonics.
have that,
Yeah,
but I couldn't
there's
find
like
it. I couldn't find it to show. Yeah.
there's about like 5 or 6 LPs and a box set as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
These are all great,
Hmm.
all really really good. So we still haven't found the record that you have.
Well, now the other thing that I'm starting to think, no, is like I wonder if I was mixing Michel Portal's name up with
Martial Solal.
no, it's completely unrelated, but Pierre Courbois, perhaps? Pierre
Okay,
Courbois? Does that
doesn't
name ring
ring
a
a bell.
bell?
No.
So see, it's so long ago that the name I think Portal was on the record, but maybe it wasn't his. That was my
Okay.
introduction to him, though. I do remember that much.
Portal also did some film soundtracks.
Nice.
This one is amazing. It's a movie with uh, Lino Ventura. Uh, uh, really good stuff.
So right
Here's a
quick. So in France, you had to deal with those cut corners on cutouts like that.
sometimes, yeah.
Crazy. Crazy.
This one I found in the garbage in Paris a long time ago. So eh, I mean, it's a cheap record. You can still find it for next to nothing.
Hmm.
And this one is like you remember like a lot of movies from the 60s, 70s, the soundtrack was pretty short. It
Yes.
was like so
Yeah.
here's two soundtracks on an LP. One of these actually got issued in the US. There's a US pressing of the first one with
Hmm.
another French composer, Georges Delerue, on the other side. Less interesting,
Hmm.
but still good. And here's the fun thing, you know, these invented soundtracks. Like when the musicians decide to do a soundtrack to an old like silent movie,
Oh, okay.
this
Yeah.
one is
Oh,
exceptional.
neat. Wow. That looks interesting.
So with Daniel Humer, Phil Woods, Portal, Ponty, and Eddie Lewis as well. And this
Nice.
is Sorcery Throughout Time, the Danish movie from the name escapes me from the 20s. And
Hmm.
this sounds like Basil Kirshen. This is amazing.
Cool. So would you say you have more jazz than rock in your collection? More
By
jazz than
far,
electronic?
by far.
Oh,
I think I have maybe I mean from the Beatles to Big Black in terms of range of rock,
hmm.
um, maybe 700, 800 records,
Okay. Okay.
probably more if I count the 7 inches and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But the jazz, I have, yeah, I have something like 3,000 records of jazz.
Nice. Nice.
Uh, Not 3,000, but like closer to 3,000 than two
And
2,000. Yeah.
and so did you ever play jazz? Do you can you play jazz?
No, no.
Okay.
I'm not I'm, I'm not patient enough. I like result way too
Hmm.
much, so I
Hmm.
became a producer.
Well, I'm not a trained jazz musician, but I can play it. I kind of learned it through osmosis. But I found I have to credit my parents for helping me with this skill, but I've found over the years that I can play up to other people's level if I'm challenged. And so,
What
yeah,
instruments do you enjoy playing in jazz?
drums the most, but I am known as a bass player, but I enjoy the drums the most. I grew up playing French horn, trumpet, baritone horn. I don't know how to play the piano, but I can compose on it.
Yeah,
And I used to really like to play the guitar. I don't play it much now. I mostly just compose with the keyboard, but drums is the most fun. And I played jazz drums with my family in my early 20s. And that reminds me of an ESP release. Byron Allen, have you heard of that
yeah.
on
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. With the sort of
Yeah.
swirly cover. Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful.
I played with him.
Nice.
Yeah, we were supposed to do a concert, but he was so unwell mentally
Hmm.
that we never got past rehearsals. But that was quite an experience to work with him.
That is my favorite ESP release.
Interesting. And I don't
Hmm.
have a copy. I'm still looking for a copy. Isn't that funny how that goes?
Well, my favorite jazz musician, who I also never met when I could have, or at least see him live, unfortunately, who has an incredible story between the US and Europe, and especially France, is Steve Lacy.
Love Steve Lacy. Yeah, I don't have enough of his stuff, and very hard to pin down to me as far as
Uh,
he
He
seemed to move in a lot of different places to me.
he's a disciple of Thelonious Monk, obviously
Hmm.
self-professed, and you can hear it. He
Hmm.
constantly references it. Um, I mean, he got famous, or I mean, we celebrate his music since the mid late 50s, but I think he really becomes Steve Lacy around 63.
Hmm. Hmm.
The stuff before 63, it's nice, but it's not, it doesn't have that angular quality. And I mean, he is the master of soprano, which is my favorite instrument in jazz.
Oh, cool. Hmm.
I think it's the most fun. If I was to take on an instrument today, It
Hmm.
would be that. And I learned to play the bass and the piano, but
Okay.
I quit after my bands, teen bands.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
Steve Lacy, I got I don't know, like over 100 records with him or by him.
Wow.
And there's nothing that sounds more like a Steve Lacy solo album than another Steve Lacy solo album, but they all different.
Yes. Yes. Cool. 100 different records. I thought I was. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So what's next on your what's you said you have run festivals. Are you
Yeah.
still doing that? Are you still doing that?
So the past few summers, I've curated and co-run a music festival. We were about we started working on this year's edition. We don't know how it's gonna go yet because we might have to change location. We're not sure yet,
Hmm.
which is starting to be really weird in terms of uh, how close we're getting to the actual date. But the
Yes.
first option we started, we organized the whole thing in 2.5 months. From like we knew the place, but like when they built the stages, did the bookings,
Hmm.
uh, found the volunteers, all that. But last year we had bands from Egypt, Syria, Congo, Uganda, Greece, Indonesia, Brazil, Canada, Nigeria, um,
Wow.
Australia, Ukraine, um, Palestine.
Man, that sounds like a
No, no,
nightmare
not Pal
for.
we had from Jordan, not Palestine, but and we had artists from yeah, Portugal, Germany, Austria, the UK, uh,
That sounds like a
Italy.
nightmare to organize.
Yeah,
how'd you do it?
that became my job.
And
It was yeah.
so with that is the organizing of the artists the hardest part, or is the financing, or are they both about the same?
Oh, the financing is the hardest. Like we lost money both years, and we
I would
knew it
think
was
so.
going to be like that.
Yeah, I would
But
think so. Yeah.
the first year we lost about 10,000
Hmm.
euros,
Hmm.
and the second one, which was of a much larger scale, we also lost 10,000, which was a progress. Especially considering that the bar man fucked us royally.
Okay. Okay. So that's interesting that with the losses, you're still encouraged to continue.
Yeah, because we built a brand and people loved it, and the people who came first, who uh, who wanted it to be something else. Basically, we had volunteers amongst our friends who basically wanted this to be a big rave. And the more we went on, no, it's live shows from live artists.
Cool.
There's some club music as well, but that's not the highlight of the whole thing.
Hmm.
And we really want this to become an international festival. Last year, I mean, it's a very small scale. It's like
Yeah.
500
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
but there's potential for it to grow. We had a bunch of people who came from the US, from Germany, from the UK, from Germany just to attend.
Hmm.
Some who came because they follow my YouTube channel. So that's
That's
very nice.
cool. Yeah, that's cool. You remind me of Leonardo Moon June Pavkovic in that sense that you just, well, I'm just going to take this on. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do
Yeah,
it. That's pretty cool. Have you ever
but
met him?
no.
Okay, go ahead.
I also have a very good partner in this, my friend Nils, who's been more in charge of the finding volunteers and but we had like monthly meetings with the whole team, and I'm working every day. Like the curation, I had one criteria though that is very different than most festivals. The artists I booked, they needed to have releases on vinyl.
I like that. Oh, yeah, I love that. Cool.
So whenever I have people who message me like, "Oh, I want to play in your festival," I always already have that sort of
Mhm.
like very. But for me, why vinyl? Because I'm obsessive about music, like
Mhm.
we both are.
Yes.
But I'm obsessive to the point I try to listen to everything that is released, and setting the limit to vinyl makes it more sustainable, even if it's really hard still.
Sure. Sure. That
But
makes
every
sense.
week I listen to everything that is released on Juno, on vinyl, on Boomcat, on Soundome, and on a
Whoa.
bunch of stuff like that. I'm
Whoa. Now, see,
subscribed
I'm
to
obsessive, but I can't say that I follow that closely. You know what I mean? That's wild. That's wild.
someone after the video we did together commented that he thought it was really good. And a lot of people wrote that they hope that we continue doing that.
Yeah.
And one mentioned that one of the topics that we talked about that he wanted us to go deeper into was the concept of relevancy.
Okay.
And relevancy is sort of the core of what that festival is about. Um, I had already the art direction, but then we got the place, which is an old farm in on the countryside in Sweden,
Mhm.
uh, with uh, a barn 15, 16 meters high ceiling, like
Mhm.
a cathedral.
Mhm.
And then we came up, I did the booking, and then, the marketing mind,
Mhm. Mhm.
let's bring the world to Sweden because the world maybe needs a little bit of Sweden right now. So
Okay.
we didn't have the concept for the place, but when we had the place, we had to find a concept to sell it and to make it actually match. So that's why we I booked a lot of people who come from a long away. Like we had that band Lord Spikeheart
I love
from
him.
yeah.
Oh
He
man, he
played
is. I love him.
he played in the barn.
Wow.
And that
Wow.
was one of the highlights. All my team, they were like, "Are you sure? I don't know," because none of them were into metal. And I told them, "This is beyond metal. This is far
Yes.
beyond."
Yeah.
And I only booked artists that I believed could also offer something beautiful to look at or interesting to look at as a performance.
Hmm.
And boy, was he the
No
right
doubt.
guy.
No doubt. Now, is that how you would define the relevancy to you?
So relevancy is for me is always the vanguard, the trailblazers, like
Okay.
something that has um like for example, Lord Spikeheart, for the people who listen to us right now who don't know, he started in a band called Duma,
Duma.
mm, which is a sort of grindcore industrial metal band from Kenya.
Right.
And it also has um some clues to trap, like
Hmm.
hip hop music in the way
Correct.
the industrial beats are
Yes.
kind of hip hop ish.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
And so having a band like that, doing that kind of stuff, where they're coming from, you could say it's exotic. And it is in a way. So exotic is not enough. It needs to be more than that to be
Hmm.
interesting to me.
Hmm.
How do they do that there? Are they influenced by music from the Western world, or do they find some influence um, locally? The cover art for the Duma album, for me, that sold me the band before even listening to the
Yes.
music.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Mm.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So when cover art is already relevant in terms of art and what it tells about the world,
Hmm. Hmm.
and basically embracing the ugliness of the world.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that's a core characteristic to relevancy. You have to be able to embrace also the ugly.
Interesting. So now, do you think that relevancy is something that can be seen universally, or is it more personal? Because I tend to think that relevancy is something that it's it's defined differently at different times and in different places with different people.
Hmm? So for sure. And um, there's different scales. There's the personal one,
Mm-hmm.
the cultural one, and the global one.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there will always be I know there will always be a subjective dimension to this.
Yes.
But when you work at curating a festival like that, or
Mm-hmm.
when you work as a journalist, you try to like you see relevancy as an ideal. You can't reach it
Makes sense.
100%.
Yes, yes, I get it now. Yes, I understand. I understand
Leaning
the
towards.
stance. Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Indeed, because yeah, I understand. I understand.
For example, um, this past few years, there has been an avalanche of recordings of independent music using the trumpet or saxophone with effects that obviously uh, you can trace to John Hassel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at first, I thought, oh, this is really nice. I get more music like that, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
But in the past year or so, I started to become way more picky in it because now I think that that aesthetic has been digested
Mm-hmm.
and can be formulaic now, which
Mm-hmm.
means that this is not necessarily where relevancy can be found right now.
Mm-hmm.
In the past few years, there's also been a trend of experimental artists doing church organ albums,
Mm-hmm.
like um, Lawrence English, um, uh, many, Kelly Malone,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just
and
played here. She just played here.
some of these records are great and inspiring and still like disruptive and scary in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Not scary in like a horror movie,
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and some are, yeah, okay,
Mm-hmm.
next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you see that there's a sort of zeitgeist around an aesthetic, around an instrument, and when there is, that's when you can start to think in terms of relevancy as well, simply around the idea of an instrument. Suddenly,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
there's this guy in the U.S. who I think is one of the most relevant musicians right now in the world. Which means he may be on the on the verge of not being so anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Someone I hope you know, Sam Gendel.
How do you spell the last name?
Jendel.
No.
He's been releasing a lot on Living Records, which is one of the best labels right now in the US, in the world. It's a basically it's a sort of sub-label to or a label that is financed by Stones Throw,
Okay.
but it's like jazz, folk, electronics,
Mm-hmm.
hippie, psychedelic music.
I'll have to check him out because that's, this is interesting because I guess for me, it doesn't really matter if it's relevant for me
Yeah.
personally. It's whether or not I like it, period.
Oh, for sure. But when I book for a festival, I try to think for
Well,
me
that makes sense.
also a
Yeah.
little beyond. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense completely. But what was that name again that you made? I never heard of this guy.
Sam Gendel. I'll send you the links to the good ones.
Okay. Okay. Because there's just so much music, you know what I mean? And I may have checked him out, but then it didn't stick. I don't remember the name, because I do listen to and search music from a lot of different sources, but I can't even remember them all. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like, you
Oh,
know,
same. Now I
yeah.
look very intelligent because I talk about. I'm the one doing the talking. If you
Mm-hmm.
were the one name
Mm-hmm.
dropping some artists, there would be tons I don't know as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that
That's
makes
why.
me think of a process that became quite natural for me that tends to surprise a little bit people when I first explain it, but which makes sense anyways, I think. And I wonder how you feel about that. Like we talked about artists that we love. I talked about Steve Lacy, but when it comes to current artists like Sam Gendel, who currently releases and quite productive, whenever I listen to the latest record of an artist I already know and really feel strongly about, in most cases, I hope I won't like the new one.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I don't know if I understand that.
So for me, it's a way to keep honest in a way, to um, to not fall into fandom.
Oh, well, I'm into that. Yeah. It's like I'm not going to like it just because it's so and so.
I mean, the thing is, like, I don't have an emotional attachment to the artist that much. Like, when an artist I love dies,
Hmm.
it doesn't really affect me because it's the music that I,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
like, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. I
Yeah.
find it
Sure.
sometimes a bit performative when we were sad about the passing of uh, Michel Portal.
Hmm.
My first reaction, he had a good run. I wasn't sad, and I
Hmm.
love his music. I
Hmm.
went really deep into it.
Hmm.
But when Ottaker releases a new album, I kind of hope I won't like the next one, the new one,
Hmm.
because that will mean that I can look myself in the mirror and like, "Hmm, you didn't fall into a fandom, into like complacency."
I see what you're saying. Well, yeah.
Because for me, it's all about expressing a choice as well.
Yeah. I agree with that. I've mentioned this on my channel many times about don't put people on a pedestal and learning the hard way. So yeah, it's like fandom is part of my past. It is. I look at it more as just deep appreciation as opposed to fandom.
Hmm.
That's where I'm at with the people that I like.
Yeah.
To hell with this. I feel like we're equals. We're humans. And then also we're peers as artists. That's how I feel about pretty much everyone.
And also, I think that if you're really a fan of an artist, when he releases or she releases an album that you don't like, that makes you sad. That could create or trigger a sort of identity crisis. What's going on?
Well, I'll share this because I see what you're saying. I'll give an example from my own past. When Peter Gabriel's second, was it used to be a huge Peter Gabriel fan, huge.
Genesis, you mean then?
Uh, Peter Gabriel,
Okay.
actually, yeah. Genesis. It started with Genesis, and then when Peter Gabriel stepped away, then I saw that's. But yeah, both. Okay, but anyway, when his second album came out, produced by Robert Fripp, fucking, I thought it sucked. Um, but I also felt like, well, I have to accept that he is free to explore what he's trying to do as opposed to what I think he's supposed to do. And
Hmm.
rather than being I was kind of pissed off actually.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah, and but over time, over time you can see what it is he was attempting to do. Oh, for me anyway.
Hmm.
Over time, it became more apparent what he was, disconnecting from his past and trying to be, in his mind, relevant to the moment in his life.
Yeah. And since I spent a lot of time in my life with dance music, I think this idea of relevancy is even more relevant to that kind of music, since
Mhm.
you don't need that much talent to make dance music.
True, true.
So when you manage to seize or create the zeitgeist, for how long? You see, my partner who was so protective of our sound,
Hmm. Hmm.
he still does that, but like no one really cares about it.
Yeah, the moment is past.
I remember in around 2003, 2004, there were artists from Chicago and around Detroit, like James T. Cotton, Trax, DeMar Cantu, who
Hmm.
basically they went back to house music, to Chicago house, Jackin house from the late 80s,
Hmm.
forgot about everything that happened during the 90s and early 2000s, like the deep house,
Hmm.
the progressive house, and just let's go back to a crossroad, and instead of going this way, how it historically went, keep on being influenced by EBM, by industrial, and all that.
Hmm.
And suddenly they injected a lot of relevancy into house music. That lasted for about 10 years. For
Hmm.
10 years, these guys, they could do no wrong. And suddenly, just like that, it became stale.
Mm.
Well produced, great tools, but not something that could be inspiring.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
And that
Okay.
happens constantly in
Yeah.
popular music.
Yeah. Always. It's always moving. It's always moving. This is
A
interesting.
band or an artist that is doing popular music that manages to do three consecutive records that are great, that's a miracle.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who maybe fits the bill. I guess it probably depends on, yeah. I really can't, think of someone right away, three records in a row. It's like bam, bam, bam. Except when I go back to maybe like some jazz.
Yeah, but jazz is not popular music.
No, it's not. No. So it's, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Cool. So I I'm about to switch gears because
Yep.
I'm expecting my CD today. Some band members are talking about wanting to talk me into getting into a new band, and they're coming over today.
Yeah.
I'm considering it. So we'll spend just a few more minutes, but I'm just saying I'm about to switch gears over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
I like your
yeah.
company. You're a decent guy, Chris. You're all right.
Well, I John Fahey wrote that book called "How Bluegrass Destroyed My or Ruined My Life" or something like that.
Hmm.
I guess that we probably can say how like uh, music ruined our lives, but we wouldn't want it any other way.
Any other way? No, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So when's your next podcast, or when is your next?
Friday in 2 days, I tried. Like I think it was like 3 years ago. It was something like in August, 3 years ago, 3.5 years now. I
Hmm.
decided I'm gonna stick to it. Since I'm not touring anymore, I'm gonna dedicate every Friday I can to that to make it my priority,
Nice.
like like a radio show, like a
Yeah,
weekly
yeah,
radio show,
yeah. Cool.
which I
Well,
used to do. I had
yeah.
a weekly radio show for 16 years.
Oh,
16,
16 years, because I had a
yeah.
radio show for a couple years. Yeah, 16 years. Wow.
You
Wow,
know,
Stunty.
I think that's when you do stuff like that, also this idea of relevancy, like every week you have to put together a new selection.
It's like you have to need to stay on top of what's going
And
on.
every week I thought it needs to be at least as good as the week before.
Yes, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Absolutely. So in that sense, I completely understand what you mean when you say relevant. Completely. Yeah.
And I mean, it's fun.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know much. Yeah, sometimes when I see these listings, these weekly listings of everything new that's coming out, and I know I will go through. I mean, I stream to listen online very quickly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very depressing because you don't hear anything you like, anything that
Right.
kind of clicks.
Right. Right.
And when you set yourself to the up to the task, almost
Hmm.
as a mission,
Hmm.
sometimes it becomes depressing. And sometimes, you miss a week, you miss two
Yeah.
weeks, you miss 3 weeks, and then it becomes, oh, it's a month in front of you.
Yeah. Trying to catch up. Trying to catch up. Well, cool. Well, this has been wonderful. I got a message, so it's like I gotta switch gears here. Got to get ready to go. Stunty, I'm glad that we've connected.
Yeah, let's keep having if people like it, let's keep having a regular dialogue.
You got it.
Uh, I have a few ideas there. I was already thinking with another person from the VC called Julius Jabbar.
I
Um,
think I know who he is, but I don't know
yeah,
that I've watched him too much, so I probably will check him out.
he's originally from Iran, and I thought I wanted to have a discussion about what used to be called, thanks to your pal Peter Gabriel, world music, which has become problematic of so that we'd rather talk about ethnomusicology, uh, which I find one of the most relevant type of records to collect right now in
Hmm.
2026.
Okay, okay.
So maybe we do that. Maybe we invite him and have a chat with him as well.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah, and have a great day. Hopefully, you will get inspired by the project they they lay out for you.
We shall see. I like the guys really well, and I miss playing with them. We were in the punk band RAF, and then the lead singer committed suicide. So that's the end of that.
Yeah,
But I miss them. But also, I told them it's like if these new songs aren't any good, I'm not interested. The music's got to be good.
mm.
So that's what they wanted to. That's what we're supposed to meet about today.
Yeah. New Order sucks.
Their first album was the only one I liked. And a little bit of backstory: my band Digital Sex here in Omaha, we introduced New Order to Omaha. We played Power, Corruption, and Lies live. Almost the whole album. I thought we played it better than them.
Not surprised. Joy Division for me is one of I like them so much that I don't even want to listen to it. It's too close. And New Order, I see what you mean that the first album, okay, yeah, it's kind of decent if you really are into Joy
Right.
Division. But I managed, for me, after Closer, which is the greatest pop album, or the second side of Closer is the greatest side of pop music ever for me. It's done.
There's so much personal about Joy Division, Closer, my dad's suicide, that that could be a whole another discussion.
Let's
The
do
reason
it.
why I started a band, Digital Sex, was Joy Division. They showed me I can do it. More than the Ramones, it was Joy Division that said, I want to do this. We should talk about that more next time.
Yep. All right, let's do it.
Take care.
Take care.
I'll talk to you.